4 months ago, I talked about FlyDigi Vader 3 Pro, and it's a good controller, and it became my main controller for the past 4 months. Just a correction, it's 2 months. I realized during editing that it's not 4 months, it's 2 months, which is a lot worse. So yeah, let's continue. But now, after I played Starfield for a week to marathon, quite long. I'm not sure anymore if the stuff that they bring on this controller is really great and make me thinking back. I'm not talking about the pro over here, but rather than the cons, because some stuff only appear after a long period of usage, and I'm quite a heavy user. Well, let's get into it. So the first stuff that I want to talk about is the joystick, which is the Pro version have the Hall sensor joystick, and this one out of the box feels great. I mean, it's quite cool, quite amazing. But after 4 months, it doesn't perform as good as out of the box. There is a drifting issue. It does disappear after a calibration, but the thing is, it's still there. I need to increase that zone a bit to remove those drifting, but again, it doesn't remove the stuff that I experience, and I don't like it if in 4 months disappear. And just to note that the joystick that they use over here is made by Kidsburg, and it's not the version from Guliki, which is the one that's very similar to the common joystick design. Another thing is, this joystick also appear in GameSir product, like the one appear over here is G7 SE. The drifting gets bigger, and over time I can feel it. It's there and there, especially if you use a very small dead zone and you already comfortable with it. And this thing I realized after I play FPS game, I skip playing Apex for a month, and then when I jump in, I switch on the not dead zone, I start to realize that, oh my god, this is drifted quite a lot. Usually I put about 5% dead zone. Now I need to increase about 7%. I need to recalibrate because the centering is not at the center anymore. Yeah, it shifted a bit to the northeast side, like on this area. The calibration, it does bit go to the center, but it's not totally at the center. It still have the problem of wobble. It becomes worse over time. Out of the box, this wobble is not so obvious, but now it becomes more apparent for me. One of the reasons that I believe happens is because of the spring that they use. The spring constant that they use over here is much lower than a regular joystick. For Gulkit version, they use a higher spring resistance, but this one they don't use a high spring resistance, so it's very light. And if you see from my previous video, it's really easy to just shake it and it just move. I think this is one of the contribution that added to here and make it this is much easier to drift. I'm not sure if this is true or not, but it's just a theory of mine. I play with a very small dead zone, and then when you start drifted, you start to increase. So I'm not sure another 3-4 months later how does it feels. I'm expecting that it will grow bigger and bigger. I already expressed this that Hall sensor doesn't eliminate drift totally, because drifting can happen due to many other sources. One of the other things that cause drifting is this recentering and this wobbling. So that is one thing. Another thing I want to talk about is the battery, and this one have 800 mAh battery. When you use a 2.4 GHz dongle, it runs at 500 to nearly 1000 Hz. It's jumping around between there. It uses a lot of battery. 800 mAh is a very short. So luckily I bought with the dock, and that's alleviate the issue of charging and then losing the battery. But if I forgot to charge, if I've got to put it on the dock, it will take me about 2 sessions, about 8 hours. There's one time I play on Starfield, I do marathon about 12 hours. Just dead after 12 hours, probably because I didn't charge on the day before too. Yeah, 800 milliamp hour is a bit too small for me. If you're thinking that you want to get this, maybe opt for non-pro version. That one have non-hall sensor joystick, but the non-pro version also you lost the trigger vibration, which is not a big deal for me. Again, the hall sensor joystick for this one, long-term usage is a bit tough for me. I'm not sure how about another 3-4 months, because I have another controller coming in and maybe I will switch on that too. And there is a Gulkit King Kong, a new Gulkit King Kong is coming out. I also need to review those. So yeah, I might switch to other controller on the future, very near future. So in reality, there's only two of my main concern about this controller. My cat is fighting. So there's only my two concerns about this controller. Other than that, I think it's a good controller. If you can be okay with non-pro version, I think it will serve a lot longer. But hall sensor over here, yeah, long term, they need to do something. So that's all. Yeah. Okay, bye.